Hey, well, it's another beautiful winter day here in New England. And by beautiful, I mean it's in the 30s, so it's not that cold. We did get a fresh snowfall last night. It's snowing right now. The trees have snow on them, so I'm out on a little bit of a different adventure today. Basically, today, what I'm going to be doing is I am going to be shooting some snowfall photography. The gear that I'm going to be using is I've got my tripod with my new Acratech head on it. I'm no longer using ball heads because of the fact that I've had too many of them loosen up on me and fail over the years. This is a head that was actually recommended by Thomas Heaton. I've also got an L bracket on my camera for the first time, so it should allow me to take landscape as well as portrait photos. The camera I'm going to be using today is my 10-year-old D3100. It's the only DSLR I have. I have not upgraded for my still photos yet. I am on the fence about different photo gear, whether I'm going to stick with Nikon because I've got a bunch of Nikon F-mount lenses, or if I just want to go ahead, bite the bullet and switch to Sony. Either way, it's going to cost me thousands of dollars because if I switch to Sony, I'm going to have to buy all new lenses. If I stick with Nikon, I can get the FDC adapter and be able to use my F-mount lenses while I'm slowly upgrading to the Z-mount lenses. So kind of on the fence right now about what gear I want to upgrade to, but I do need to get a camera with a bigger sensor on it. Right now I'm using a 14 megapixel DX sensor or crop sensor or APS-C, whatever you want to call it. My problem with that sensor is it does not allow me to get the big enough prints that I need for my products without actually stretching them out and then getting a little bit muddy. Okay, so I'm at my first location. I've got a beautiful pond behind me. It is snowing. I'm going to try to capture some of the snow coming down. Not sure if it's actually going to pick up too well. I'm using the type of camera that I'm using. One of the issues that I'm having problems with is some of these roads are definitely not treated or been taken care of. So parking is an issue. Looks like I'm going to probably have to use a lot of handheld photography today because stopping somewhere and setting up a tripod till I get to another area is just not going to happen. Especially where I am right now, because technically I am kind of blocking the road with my car. So I'm going to get out, take this quick shot of this pond behind me. As you can see, it's a lovely scene with the snow coming down, and then we'll move on to our next location. Okay, so I pulled into my local campground, and at first I was a little concerned about whether or not I'd be able to get in out of here, but it looks like they did a good job plowing. So it's actually down to the dirt in most places. Parking lot has a little bit of snow on it, which is good, so I'm not worried about getting out. I'm gonna walk around my campground. There's a lot of pine trees around. There's a building I might be able to get a shot of. Do a little bit of woodland photography over here, see what I can capture. Looking for images that I can also use on my Christmas cards and such that I sell. So I'm gonna walk around. We got some pine up that way, so I'm gonna head up that way first where all that pine is. We got some pine around here. Still gonna wear my orange just in case there's anybody out hunting, even though deer hunting season's pretty much over with. But well, did some walking around, started getting out of the pine forest over into the hardwoods, and so far I am not finding really too much to impress me. I took a few shots. I was kind of hoping to find, you know, one or two trees that were kind of isolated. Try to get a minimalist photo, or at least something, maybe not minimalist, halfway decent with the snowfall, but a lot of the background is actually chaotic, so I think I'm gonna go try to find another location because this one here in the campground is just not working out too well for what I want to try to capture. Well, I've been to a few other places, took a few other photos. I did find a couple minimalist ones that I was hoping for, with some trees down by the pond. But one of the things here in southern New England is a lot of the woodland is very young forest, and by that I mean probably between 100 to 200 years old. So you really don't have any areas that have a good canopy that produces a lot of shade to kill out the underbrush, and then the wide open spaces in between the trees. You only find that if the forest industry actually maintains a certain area and kills off that underbrush. So there's a lot sticking up through the snow. There's a lot of chaotic background. So for the images that have been taken, I've been trying to shoot relatively shallow depth of field at 2.8 using my Sigma 17 to 70 lens. Also been shooting between ISO 400 and 1600 because it's a gray overcast day, and I really want that quick shutter speed because I'm finding I'm having to do a lot of handheld shots, not really finding anywhere to set up the tripod where it's really going to be worth staying, taking a few photos. Like I said, just a lot of chaotic background because of these are young forests and the trees are so close together. So I'm still driving around, still looking for a few places to go. I'm going to show you all the pictures that I've taken once I go through and edit them. Not going to do any corrections as far as removing any of the underbrush, removing any of the chaotic backgrounds, removing any of the twigs sticking up in the way, because I really want to show, you know, even though we got a beautiful snowy landscape, that winter photography can be a little dramatic with trying to find that perfect shot, especially if you live in an area that with a lot of young forests and a lot of low-lying brush. So still looking around, still taking a couple pictures, heading into a part of Connecticut right now. Maybe I'll take a couple urban shots. They got a couple waterfalls down here. I'll see if they're actually running. Alrighty, well, I'm downtown in an urban area right now in Connecticut, and a lot of my photography that I wanted to take, some of my minimalist shots and other landscapes, actually took place right here in the park. So this is the park that I was in. Have a few interesting structures, got a waterfall off in the distance. Okay, so we're on day 2 of the joys and frustrations of winter photography, and while I'm on my way to my next location, first of all, you see that the weather conditions are totally different. It's also about 10 o'clock in the morning, so which means I have full bright sun, which is not totally ideal. One of the things I wanted to discuss is, first of all, I did not actually vlog any of the pictures that I took at night. It was way too dark for my vlogging camera. Second of all, I'm going to include some photos from a prior trip of some winter landscapes that I took, just to show you what you can actually capture if you have the right locations and the right conditions. But I want to also discuss your camera with you. As you know, my camera is a Nikon D3100 DSLR that I'm shooting these still pictures with. It's only 14 megapixels. It's probably about 11 years old right now. Or actually, the camera's probably older than that, but I've had it for 11 years. I'm not sure exactly when this camera was released. But one of the things is, your camera is actually going to lie to you, especially if you are shooting DSLR and not mirrorless. And what I mean by that is, when I was taking my shots, I was really disappointed at the pictures. I was looking at them on my LCD screen on the back. They were looking all monochrome, really no detail, nothing really to say that these were great images. But once I got them home on my iPad and I started playing around with them in Lightroom, there were actually some good photos in there. Yeah, I still have photos I was not happy with because of the chaotic backgrounds. Some were actually out of focus from trying to get too close to the subject, even with the macro lens. And holy cow. Well, I guess I'm not going to stop at this location. There's absolutely no parking from everybody out ice fishing today. All right, somewhere else. But yeah, the other thing about your camera is going to lie to you is, especially with DSLR, my camera, the live view is very much not adequate. And what I mean by that is, the live view pretty much shows you what my optical viewfinder, in other words looking through the camera, is going to show until I actually press the shutter button halfway down to focus. Then it'll take all the settings into consideration, show you the image, but that's only for a brief couple seconds before it goes back. My live view is also only good for 20 seconds before it shuts off, so trying to compose with the live view is really not that great. Second of all, I don't care what camera you actually own, the LCD screen on the back of it is not going to show you your true picture. The newer DSLRs, more advanced DSLRs, the newer mirrorless cameras actually do a better job at that. But your LCD screen is only a few megapixels. It's not like looking at it on a computer screen. And mine, my LCD screen on my D3100 when trying to look at photos is absolutely horrendous. There is no detail or hardly any detail. All my winter shots looked monochrome, black and white. They all looked rather bland, washed out. So it wasn't until I actually got home and started playing with them on Lightroom that I was actually able to see how good some of my shots actually came out. So like I said, I'm trying to find another location today, try to take some different pictures than what I took before. I was hoping to get some shots out on the lake with some abstract ice, but unfortunately there's just way too many people ice fishing right now. There's nowhere to park at all at that boat launch, so I'm going to try to hit a couple other lakes, maybe try to hit some rivers, hopefully try to find some icicles from the melting snow and melting ice to see what I can actually shoot some abstracts on that. So alrighty, well, I found another spot to shoot. I'm actually at a local park that I've been to a number of times, and as you can hear, I've got a waterfall underneath a bridge that has some ice formations. Now I'm gonna have to shoot this with my 55-300 lens just because of the distance. I'm gonna have to shoot handheld because there's really, with the snow, no place good to set up a tripod. So again, one of the issues that I'm running into is trying to find a place to park. This happens every winter to me. The town that I live in, and in fact the entire state, has a standing parking ban that you cannot park on the sides of the road during the winter months. Now, the town that I live in, that runs from November until March. So if you parked on the side of the roads, they can give you a ticket. But during a snowstorm or a snow emergency, they'll actually tow your car. A lot of the places that I would have liked to go into and check out that does have parking areas or parking lots, the town did not plow them, so you cannot get in unless you have a four-wheel drive vehicle, which I only drive a sedan, so I do not have four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. So it makes it a little bit difficult. The ones that are plowed right now, especially on your lakes, which is only probably about half of the boat launches are plowed, the other half are not. Right now, they're just so packed with people ice fishing, because this is the first time the lakes have really gotten safe in probably about 6 to 7 years. So it is crowded like crazy. So still trying to find locations to capture other photographs. But yeah, this is one of the frustrations, is finding a place to go and a place to park when there's a parking ban and parking areas are just not plowed. Okay, so I found an area on a local pond. Looks like somebody attempted to do some ice fishing, and I've got an area here that's been kicked out with some snow. There's a hole that looks like they might have drilled, and with it refrozen back over, I've got a couple interesting bubbles, couple interesting formations. So I'm attempting some macro shots. I'm using a Sigma 105 macro, which on my D3100, it is totally manual focus. There is no autofocusing at all, so I might go back and get my 17 to 70 with macro with autofocusing to try to help me out a little bit better, because one of the issues I'm having with this lens right now is it is so bright out here that I cannot see anything through my LCD screen, and also trying to manual focus using the eyepiece is really tough. So I'm not sure I'm getting the shots that I want, so I might go back and get my 17 to 70, which is a little bit wider and will also allow me to get in closer. It'll be interesting to see what I did capture using the 105 macro dedicated macro lens, but I feel just not getting the shots that I want to get with it, just because of the fact that I really cannot see what I'm doing right now. So I'm going to go back, switch out the lens, and I'm going to try these shots again. All right, so I pulled over real quick on the side of the road and shot a couple pictures in the stream. I just had to get these shots of some of the ice formations that were floating around, and also some of the ice that was around the branches that were in the river. I shot them with my 55 to 300 lens. It's a crop sensor lens for APS-C cameras. I don't know, it really has me thinking about whether or not I want to go full frame, or I just want to stick with a crop sensor camera body for now, and then eventually upgrade to full frame glass and then get a full frame body down the road. Possibly rethinking the camera that I might get. Although the problem with the Nikon Z50 is it does not have a back-sided illuminated sensor, so the low light capability is not that great. So I don't know. Still thinking about the camera body I'm going to upgrade to, but in the meantime still having a lot of fun with my Nikon D3100. So it just goes to show that you really don't need gear and get concentrated so much on upgrading and having specific gear. The only reason why I really want a new camera is because, one, I don't want to chip a lot. I just want to see how the image is going to come out when I press the shutter button right away, rather than having to take the shot, readjust my settings, take another shot, etc. So that's one of the reasons. The other one is I want more megapixels so that I could have larger prints and such. But right now, shooting for YouTube, this camera I got is more than adequate. So gonna be on to my next location and see what I can find there. Alrighty, so I'm at the local waterfall here in town, and I just checked it out, and there's some awesome ice formations over on the rocks where the sun is just actually hitting off of it. It's creating all these little weird bubble effects and all these weird point effects, and just gonna make some great abstract shots and also some interesting ice formation. So it's a little loud over here by the waterfall, but let me show you the ice formations that we're looking at. So as you see down there, all the rocks have these icicles dripping off of it. We have the bubbles up on top. Now I'm going to walk over to the top end of the waterfall right now, and I'm going to show you a shot from up here. So as you can see, all the bubbles, the way the light's reflecting off the rock, all the interesting formations. It's going to make for some really interesting photography. So yes, it is a little loud right now over by the waterfall, but it's going to make for some really great photography, the way the waterfall has created this. There's some ice across the waterfall also, but it's just not that great to look at. There's nothing really special about it, but I really like this composition right here. So I'm going to go ahead and shoot a few shots over here. Again, I'm going to have to use my 55 to 300 lens, because otherwise it would just be too much of a wide angle to really get those close-up shots, and it wouldn't be that interesting. But catching a close-up shot probably at about 300 millimeters is really going to bring out some of the details that I'm looking for. It's going to create some nice effects. So I'm going to go ahead and grab these shots while I'm here. Alrighty, so I'm at one last location. I'm at another waterfall. I'm going to show you some of the ice formations I'm going to attempt to shoot over here. Waterfalls during the winter time can just produce some amazing formations and structure and ice. So let me show you this, and then I'm going to attempt to take a few of these photos. Alrighty, well, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you liked it. If so, give it a like. If you want to comment down below, ask any questions, I'll try to answer them for you. I answer and read all comments. If you haven't already, I'd appreciate it if you go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you like what you see and you want to see more photography, more of my outdoor adventures and such. Just to recap, and hey, I'm trying to walk down a slippery slope here. Okay, so just to recap, some of the frustrations I had with the last 2 days about shooting photography was, one, the gray overcast conditions. Everything on my camera looked like it was in monochrome, black and white, no detail, nothing. Two, the LCD screen on my older camera lying to me as far as how these videos are turning out. The live view on my camera is kind of iffy. It doesn't always show accurately what the picture is going to take or what the video is. So I got to hold down the shutter button to get it to focus before it kicks in all the settings. And then sometimes it only stays for a few seconds. Sometimes it'll leave the picture as I'm shooting it. The other frustration is, as you can see, although I'm in the woods right now, it's a bright sunny day, so yeah, I could not see my LCD screen. Had a hard time seeing through my viewfinder, although I prefer using the viewfinder over the LCD screen because of that fact. I can block out some of the light. Although when you wear your glasses, that transition is great for sunny days like today, walking in the snow, because I automatically have sunglasses on, but not so great when you're trying to shoot photography. So the joys, oh man, some of these pictures that I actually was able to capture today. Whew. Between yesterday and today, I did get some good shots. So I went ahead, I showed you all the good, all the bad photos. This way here, you can see that not every photo you take is going to be a really magnificent shot, but yeah, get out there, shoot some photography, and you'd be surprised what you can capture. Now, I didn't go through all the edits that I made, and the reason being is, first of all, I must say you must shoot camera raw. Unless your camera shoots absolutely extraordinary JPEGs, but that's kind of rare. On a winter day like this, you really need raw so you can bring down some of those highlights, so you can bring up some of the shadows, vice versa, depending on how it comes out. And again, the reason why I didn't take it through all the edits that I made is photography is really subjective. You got to find your own voice. You got to find what style photos you like, whether you like more natural, more contrasty, a little more, a little less saturated, black and white, or whatever. But experiment, develop your own voice. My whole point about my channel is to actually get you outdoors, actually enjoy the nature that's around you, even if it is in your own backyard and you're under lockdown right now because of the stupid pandemic, or if you're able to get out and travel, even if it's only locally, or if you can travel great distances. Get outside, enjoy nature, enjoy what God gave us. It's just beautiful. So I'm going to end this for today, and we'll see you in the next video.